Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Jones and my infographic presentation is on emotional disturbance. Let's begin. According to IDEA, emotional disturbance is a condition that is present for a period of time. It's not present in typical student peers and it negatively affects the student's educational performance. There's an inability to learn that can't be explained by other factors. There's an inability, difficulty in maintaining relationships between teachers and peers. There's inappropriate types of acting out behavior or feelings. There's a general pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression. And finally, a tendency to develop some physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. There are different scales to diagnose emotional disturbance. They should be, there are a couple of questionnaires. One's the scale for assessing emotional disturbance, and they look at the different aspects or characteristics mentioned on the earlier slide. There are also different ways to diagnose that are comprehensive, where adaptive and maladaptive functioning are assessed. We can use behavioral observations, self-report measures, interviews with the student, interviews with the family, with siblings, teachers to find out what the symptoms are that are being presented. How does it affect learning? So in a student with an emotional disturbance, it's very hard for them to regulate their emotions. They can feel as if they're out of control and they're all over the place. Even if it seems like it's a good day, for them, it doesn't feel like a good day. So they are constantly feeling like they're in survival mode. And learning is not possible when one is in such a mode. You are not available to learn when you're feeling threatened or feeling in a state of permanent alarm. So how do we access how do we access the attention that we need so that we can teach? How do we get them out of that alarm kind of state or survival state? So some best practices for students with emotional disturbance. There should be calming stations or recharging stations available for students when they're upset. There should be frequent check-ins to check on their emotional state. Structured emotional support. They can use things like journaling. They should have choices when possible in how they're learning, how they're working, and how they're showing what they've learned. There are also different ways to instruct, from small group, whole group, one-on-one, also flexible learning environments, and extra processing time, and extra time to do work in general. Something that can be used in ELA or for reading comprehension could be using peer tutoring, cooperative learning, cross-age tutoring. So where we use peers to help with the process of learning, and when we put them in pairs, maybe with a complementary kind of student, not somebody that's going to trigger them, obviously, and they can take turns teaching one another the information. Also, you could put them in small teams for cooperative learning, teams of different abilities. Well, each member contributes, each member is accountable. There's also cross-age tutoring, where you might take an older student who could be a mentor for a student with emotional disturbance, and they could help them through, maybe by modeling, just by being a little bit older. That is also a method that has been proven to work. Okay, and some evidence-based interventions. How can we best teach these students, or what can we do to help? Let's take a look. There's a couple of interventions, peer-mediated interventions and self-mediated interventions. Peer-mediated is obviously student-led as opposed to teacher-led. You can use peers for assessment, for modeling, for reinforcement. In self-mediated interventions, that's more like a independent study where the student is delivering the instructions themselves. It's goal setting, self-monitoring, self-evaluation, while the teacher is the guide and checking in at frequent intervals. Okay, some resources. I put some links and some information about these great articles I read about the issues with having a diagnosis of emotional disturbance and how we can best help our students, what their needs are, and also an article about a particular intervention, the life-space crisis intervention, which takes a more therapeutic approach as opposed to coercion and control, which is kind of like the more traditional approach to crisis. Some more resources are available via websites with some article links up there if you desire to check them out. And my references are at the end, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.